everyone, my name's Caitlyn and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. So I have decided, because it's been a really long time since I've ever done a wrap-up, so I think what I've decided is how I'm going to approach this is to do like recent reads and do them probably like every other month, so do them for 2 months at a time. So today I am here to share about most of the books that I read in January and February. In January, I read 10 books, and in February, I read 8 books total. So I will be talking about most of them. All the ones that I gave either 4 or 5 stars to. There were a couple that I did not rate because I couldn't give them more than 3 stars, so I did not rate them. I will not be talking about those in this video, but if you want to see that, if you want to see what those books are, they are listed on my Goodreads, so you are welcome to check that out. So let's jump right into January. So the first book that I finished was Since We've No Place to Go by Kate Watson. This is a Christmas rom-com and it was great. I loved it. I give it 5 stars. There was a lot of baseball jargon, baseball stats in it, and that didn't really, that kind of made my eyes glaze over because I know pretty much nothing about baseball. But if you're a baseball fan, I'm sure you would love that aspect to it. But I was here for the romance, the banter, the humor. It was wonderful. I loved it so much. So yeah, I definitely recommend that one. Then I read a book that has not been released yet, and this is the working title. It's a devotional. The working title is The Joyful Single by Jessica Kate, who is a Australian Christian rom-com author normally, but this is her first foray into writing a nonfiction book. And it was amazing and phenomenal and fantastic and just all the things. I got to beta read it. I loved it so much. I cannot wait for it to be released so I can pick up the hard copy. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Like I said, the working title is The Joyful Single. I don't know whether that will stay the same or whether the publisher will change it, and I don't yet know when it's going to be released, but definitely follow Jessica Kate on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere. Subscribe to her newsletter at her website, which I believe is jessicakatewriting.com, just so you can stay updated if that interests you on when the release date will be, because I don't know yet at this point, but highly recommend it. And then I read The Politics of Christmas by Drew Taylor, which is a Christian worldview rom-com, Christmas rom-com, and I gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic. It's about a woman who is it's a second chance romance about a woman who left her hometown, left her fiance, and went to go to college in New York, and she has become a campaign manager. That she's working for a presidential candidate, and she ends up returning home to her hometown in Mississippi. And is she going to wind up rekindling a romance with her ex-fiance? We shall see. But yeah, I loved it. It was great. I loved it so much. I really loved Drew's writing style. The humor was awesome. Romance was super sweet and fun, and yeah, I highly recommend checking it out. I gave it 5 stars, and yeah, really loved it. Okay, and then next up I read Runaway Bride and Prejudice by Emma St. Clair. This book, oh my word. This is book 5. Yes, this is book 5 in the Appy's hockey series, and I loved it so much. Oh my goodness. Van is my new book boyfriend. He might be my new favorite of the Appies. He's just phenomenal. He really is. He's just incredible. I don't even know what to say. He's amazing. He truly is. He is amazing. And I highly recommend the book. Amelia was so relatable to me. And yeah, it was just incredible. So, okay, I'll try to tell you a little bit of what the book is about. The book is about Van, as I said, who is kind of known as the ladies' man of the Appies hockey team. But we've kind of gotten glimpses in previous books to him to that not really being who he is, that there's really a lot more under the surface than he allows to be shown to the world, that he's really an amazing guy underneath his player image. And so, yeah, he happens to be at the wedding of their coach's daughter, and he happens to catch the groom making out with one of the bridesmaids in the church the day of the wedding. So, yeah, he takes it upon himself to make sure that Amelia, the bride, knows what went down. And then he ends up helping her escape the wedding venue, and then winds up going on the honeymoon trip to Florida with her. So it's their adventures in Florida, and it's so good. And I love Van so much. He is just like, oh my goodness, he is just chef's kiss. He truly is. I love him so much. And this book, like, this is one of those books that had me like wiggling my feet. It had me giddy because it was just so much fun to read. It was just, yeah, completely clean, as with all of Emma's books, but such a joy to read. And yeah, I was sad to see it end. The audiobook is fantastic as well, by the way. So, of course, I gave that 5 stars. That was my first favorite read of 2025. So, yeah, I loved it so much. Next up, we have Expired Vows by Laura Conaway. And this is book 4, I think. Yeah, I believe it's book 4 in the Last Chance Fire and Rescue series. And I loved this book. It was so good. I'm really enjoying Laura Conaway's books. She is fast becoming a favorite romantic suspense author. She only has 2 books out right now. Her 3rd book is just about to release. It's called Rescued Duty, and it's in like a Last Chance spin-off series of this series that Expired Vows is in. But Expired Vows was so good. Oh my goodness, it was so good. The heroine has diabetes, and so we get to see her struggles with that, her struggles of feeling like no one trusts her to be able to manage her own health. And yeah, it's so good. It's so good. She is a therapist, and the guy is a former police officer turned paramedic. And yeah, it's just such a great story. It really is. It's so good. I loved it. It was suspenseful. Their faith in it was great. The romance was great. She was actually his late wife's best friend. So that's an interesting trope. And so, yeah, there's lots of great healing that happens in the book. And like I said, the romance is great. Suspense is great. We get some really great on-the-job scenes with Trace. That's the hero's name. Just remembered it. Yeah, so it was really great. I loved it, and I'm very excited to read her next book when it comes out. Okay, then next up, and I rated that one 5 stars. I don't know if I said that or not, but I did. Next up was The Juliet Code by Pepper Basham. This is book 3 in the Freddie and Grace Mysteries series, and in this one, they finally make it to their honeymoon in Venice. And yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. The Mistletoe Countess is still my favorite of the series by far, but this one was also really good. Yeah, so highly recommend it. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm really excited to read The Highland Heist when it comes out later this year in July, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's July. And yeah, see them take on... Well, they actually come back to America for a bit in that one first, from what I understand. So I'm excited to see that, and then see them take on Scotland. So yeah. It's always a fun time with Freddie and Grace, and yeah, so definitely highly recommend the series. I definitely recommend starting with The Mistletoe Countess. Yes, I know Mistletoe is a Christmas book, but the Christmas element is super light. You can absolutely read it any time of year, and I highly recommend it. It is seriously one of the most fun, most joyful books I have ever read in my entire life, and yeah, highly recommend it. Okay, and then next I read the Friendsgiving, can't say that very well. Whatever. The Friendsgiving Fake Out by Savannah Scott. This was a short story, like a short novella she was doing for her newsletter subscribers. And this was really great. I loved it so much. It was so sweet, so fun. I give it 5 stars. It is about a young woman. It's actually loosely based off of a true story of a Instagram influencer who gets a message out of the blue from one of her followers saying, hey, I know you don't know me, but would you be interested in being my fake date to my Friendsgiving? They lived all the way across the country from each other. He lived in LA and she did not live in LA. So this story is based off of that real life story. And then a romance bloomed out of that, of course, in real life, which is super cool. And I love that Savannah took that and wrote a fictional story based off of them. So the girl lives in Tennessee, the guy lives in LA, and yeah, so she goes to LA to be his date, his fake date to his Friendsgiving that he's going to, and then yeah, their relationship kind of grows from there. And it was so sweet. It was so fun to read and just a delight. So yeah, I don't know if it's still available through her newsletter or not. I believe it is, but yeah, if it is, definitely try to get your hands on it because it was so much fun. Gave it 5 stars if I didn't say that. And then lastly for January, I read The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah, I like a little Poe every now and then. He's not like a favorite, but as someone who writes a lot of short stories, I really greatly appreciate all the work that he did and all of the appreciation that he brought to the short story genre and in poetry and whatnot. I really love how he really brought so much appreciation to the genre of short stories and the fact that a story doesn't have to be novel length to pack a punch. And yeah, so much of the short story genre is something that was like not necessarily started by him, but he definitely was a factor in making it popular. So I definitely appreciated that. I enjoyed The Raven. Like, I don't think it's going to be a favorite, but I enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. So yeah, it was good. I read that for Katie's Princess Bride-a-thon for the poetry prompt. Okay, then in February, as I said, I read 8 books. So first up was Resistance by Jaye Knight. And I really, really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. It's kind of more of a 4.5 stars for me, but I don't usually give half stars, so it's 4 stars. And yeah, really enjoyed this one. It was great. Loved Jason Kyron. Loved all the side characters. And yeah, the story really kind of started to get going by the end of it. I'm excited to continue on. And yeah, I loved the medieval feel setting, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing with the series. Then I read Finally Christmas by our very own T. Williams here on BookTube. I will leave her channel link down below. And I loved this short story. It was so good. Loved it so much. It was just so sweet and fun and gave me all the feels, but also going deep and just, yeah, it just felt so realistic. And I loved it. It was wonderful. I can't wait to read more of T's books. So yeah, highly recommend. I gave it 5 stars, and yeah, definitely recommend that you check it out. Then I read, for nonfiction, I completed The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. I actually started this on January 1st, and I read a chapter a day because it's supposed to be a 40-day devotional, but it's actually not. It's actually 42 days, but whatever. I finished it in February, and yeah, I loved it so much. It was so good. I'm even thinking about doing like a dedicated review video because there are some quotes and stuff that really stood out to me that I want to share. But yeah, I highly recommend that to anyone who's looking for a good Christian nonfiction book. 5 stars, absolutely. And then I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts and really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. It was like the romance, the banter was top tier. I wished that the plot had kind of gotten going a little sooner. And I started out reading it physically, and I ended up having to switch to audiobook just because of how small the print was. It was just taking me a really long time, and I was like, I need to finish this. So I switched to the audiobook. The audiobook was really great. I really enjoyed it very, very much. And yeah, loved the story. There was definitely a twist that happened at the end that I suspected was going to happen, but there was another twist that I wasn't exactly expecting. So I'm very curious to see where things go in the second book and see what happens. So yeah, looking forward to reading Reckless at some point in the near future, hopefully. And then I finished Real Love by Savannah Scott. And this is book 5 in her Love Trippin' series. So we're back on Marbella Island, and I gave this one 5 stars. I loved it so much. It was just wonderful. So we have Alana, who is a famous movie star, and Stevens, who is a marine biologist. And we've got the You've Got Mail kind of trope because they are chatting with each other through this online word game. But they each have a handle, so they don't know who it is that they're talking to. But then they also, of course, meet in real life and hit it off. And it's so sweet. It's such a sweet story, and it's just, I loved it so much. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful and stunning. And I would highly, highly recommend it if those are tropes that you enjoy. If you enjoy rom-coms that'll make you laugh and are heartwarming and also go deeper than surface level. And yeah, highly, highly recommend it. I now only have 2 of her rom-coms left. A Fish Out of Water, which is book 2 in that series, and Resorting to Romance, which is book 4. And I will have completed all of her rom-coms. So that's one of my goals for this year. So that got me one step closer. So yeah, highly, highly recommend it. 5 stars once again. Then I completed When You Look at Me by Pepper Basham. And this is also 5 stars. I loved it so, so much. So this is about Julia Jenkins, who had been, actually prior to the first book in the series, which is about her sister Isley, she had been raped by a guy that she was dating. And she became pregnant as a result of that. So like I said, it happened prior to even the first book in the series. So there aren't really any flashbacks. She sometimes does like mention it in this book. So that's something to be aware of. If that would be triggering for you, be aware of that. And it does sometimes affect her emotionally and her physical responses to things, the fear that comes on from the PTSD from the situation, the rape that she went through. But yeah, so this is her story, and she meets a guy named Henry Wright, and he is a dreamboat. He is just the sweetest doll of a man. He is incredible. He is the best friend of Wes, who's the hero in the first book. Wes is an actor. Henry is a musician and composer who is there with Wes composing music for a movie that Wes is doing, and they are staying there at the Jenkins family estate. It's not an estate, but they're at their, like, with them on their, there's like a B&B there, and there's a bakery and all this great stuff. So they're staying there. So he and Julia are getting to know each other, and it just, the romance is like so slow burn. It's so sweet, and he is just so incredibly sweet and tender and gentle with her. And yeah, he's incredible, and the story is beautiful. And yeah, just highly, highly recommend it. There's also a bit of a historical mystery that they're like trying to figure out, like mysterious details about her aunt or her great aunt, I can't remember which, who has passed away and left her house. And they're going through stuff. She and Henry are going through stuff in the house, and yeah, there's like she has like a mysterious history that they find clues to throughout the story, and it's just wonderful. I loved it so, so much. And that was actually the last book from Pepper Basham's backlist that I had not yet read. So I have now completed her entire backlist, and I'm actually, at the time of filming this, I'm working on reading her upcoming release, Some Like It Scott. So yeah, and actually for the first time, I am entirely caught up and actually kind of a little bit ahead of the game, because It's March right now. Something Like It Scott doesn't release till April, so I'm almost a little bit ahead for once. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And then I read Cinder Luna by Marie Soleil. And this one was really fun. I really enjoyed it. As you can tell, it's a rom-com, clean rom-com retelling of Cinderella. I gave it 4 stars and it was super fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the audiobook was great. It was a short listen and kept me engaged all the way through. It was super fun. I'm not really much of a video gamer, but it was super interesting to learn about that through the story. And yeah, I just loved it. I loved all the nods to the original Cinderella, but all the ways that the story was unique as well. So yeah, really enjoyed that. It was completely clean. I don't remember any language at all, and just kisses. And yeah, it was great. So I'm really, really excited because we get introduced to the characters in books 2 and 3, which are actually, book 2 is the brother of the hero in this book, and then book 3, which is not out yet, but I'm super looking forward to, is their sister. So yeah, so far in the series we've got 3 siblings here, the two guys and then their sister. So yeah, I'm very excited to read books 2 and 3. Book 2 is called Isabelle and the Beast, and it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So I'm very excited to get to that at some point in time. And then lastly, and I actually finished this up like in the last few hours of February 28th, because I was determined that I was going to finish it before the end of the month. But I loved this book so much, and that is An Overdue Match by Sarah Monzon. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it so incredibly much. It's just, there are no words to describe how much I loved it. Yeah. It's incredible. It really is an incredible book, and I just can't recommend it highly enough. You can see my full review on Goodreads, and yeah, or on Instagram if you follow me, you can find it on there as well. And yeah, I highly recommend it so much. It's just absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that wraps up everything that I read in January and February. I'd love to hear about what you read in those months. What was your favorite book? Yeah, so I'd love to hear about it. Anything you want to chat about in the comments, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.